Welcome to MMA Fight Night.
Let's dive right into what's next for Shavkat Rakhmonov after his epic win at UFC 310. The undefeated welterweight powerhouse stayed perfect, but for the first time in his career, he found himself relying on the judges' scorecards after an intense battle with the tough Ian Garry. So, what's next for the unstoppable welterweight? All roads are pointing toward the champ, Belal Muhammad. Rakhmonov dominated much of the early action in the clinch, landing some brutal shots on Garry. But the tough Irishman wasn't backing down. Despite Rakhmonov's takedowns, Garry defended himself like a pro from the bottom. And just when it seemed like Rakhmonov had it all locked up, Garry surprised him, taking his back in the later rounds. He even threatened with a rear naked choke, but Rakhmonov wasn't having it. He managed to escape and stay in control. After the fight, Belal Muhammad made his way into the cage for a face-off with Rakhmonov, and it makes perfect sense considering the fight with Garry was basically a title eliminator. Originally, Rakhmonov was set to challenge Muhammad for the belt at UFC 310, but when the champ was sidelined, Garry stepped in as a late replacement. Now, the big question is, will Rakhmonov put an end to Muhammad's reign, or did Garry just prove that Rakhmonov isn't invincible? What's your take on this? Ian Garry made a bold statement at his post-fight press conference, insisting that he doesn't believe he lost the fight.
I wanted to come out here and talk to you guys because in victory and defeat, I'm still the same person. I still want to come out here and give you guys what you deserve, the knowledge. I am humble in victory and defeat, I always have been. And I do not feel like I lost today. My hand might not have got raised, but I came out and I fought a giant. I came out and I fought the boogeyman, and I showed that he's human. I went out there on 3 weeks' notice. I saved this event. I saved this card against the scariest man in the division. And I proved tonight, on short notice, that I can absolutely be a champion. And I can do it for 5 rounds, and there's no holes in my game.
Khamzat Chimaev has just sent a fiery warning to Sean Strickland, and the fight announcement has followed shortly after. Not too long ago, Chimaev and Strickland were actually on good terms. Some might even say they were pals. But as 2024 wraps up, it's clear a full-on war is brewing between these two. When Chimaev was climbing the middleweight ranks, he spent time training with Strickland, who openly admitted that Chimaev was an absolute wrecking machine. But now that both are at the top of the 185-pound division, the tension between them is escalating in a big way. If you've been following Sean Strickland throughout 2024, you know he's been adamant that he should be next in line for a shot at the reigning champ, Dricus du Plessis. But after Chimaev's dominating victory over Robert Whittaker at UFC 308, many now believe Boers could be the one to face DDP next. As a result, the tension between Chimaev and Strickland has gone from bad to worse, especially after Strickland posted this fiery comment. Understand one thing, I am next in line. It's been said, it's been written. January, February, me and Dricus du Plessis are scrapping. Go back to Chechnya and wait a few months. Wait, sorry, UAE, you're not allowed in Chechnya. But hey, crypto scams while you wait. Clearly, Strickland touched on some pretty sensitive topics there, and that might explain why Chimaev recently fired back with these comments. Where are you, Strickland? It's okay, bro. Ha 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 ha. That comment might be a reference to what Chimaev has said about their sparring sessions. Reflecting on his time training with Strickland after his big win at UFC 308, Chimaev claimed the following, while also throwing shade at some of the remarks Strickland had been making. We sparred with Strickland and trained with him, so I don't know. We've been good when we've been in a gym, but when I go back to Sweden, he starts to tweet and do some things. He didn't like when I said I tapped him out. Yeah, I tapped him out many times, chokes, different things, you know. It's going to be fascinating to see where things go from here. If you know anything about Strickland, you know he doesn't let an insult or a call-out slide. He'll respond, no doubt. But setting that aside, could we see Chimaev and Strickland throwing down in the octagon anytime soon? Right now, it definitely seems like a real possibility. Just this Saturday, the UFC dropped the news that Strickland will rematch DDP at UFC 312 in Australia on February 8th. So, if Strickland manages to reclaim the title, and some might argue that's a big if, it's hard to imagine Chimaev not being next in line. But what do you think? Do you see Strickland taking down du Plessis and then facing Chimaev in mid to late 2025? Next up, a recap of Alexandre Pantoja versus Asakura. Pantoja came close to eating a brutal knee early in the fight, but as always, the Brazilian showed he's on another level in the flyweight division. Asakura came out swinging with a savage knee and heavy punches, but the champ didn't back down. Instead, he kept up the pressure and landed some huge shots of his own, one of which dropped Asakura to the canvas for a moment. In round 2, Pantoja's pressure never let up. After the fight hit the mat once again, the champion worked for a rear naked choke. Asakura defended like a warrior, but Pantoja adjusted his grip, and the fight was stopped when it seemed the Japanese fighter went out. So what's next for Pantoja? It's tough to say. After the fight, Pantoja called out the legendary Demetrius Johnson, inviting him to return to the UFC for a showdown. But with DJ retired and probably still under contract with ONE, that seems pretty unlikely. Dana White also chimed in on the call-out during the post-fight press conference.
Is that something you would entertain even?
I don't know. That's interesting. Listen, you know how I was the one beating the drum about Demetrius Johnson a long time ago. And, yeah, I don't know.
Pantoja has already beaten #1 contender Brandon Royval twice and has 3 victories over former champ and current #2 Brandon Moreno. The #3 ranked Amir Albazi is coming off a loss to Moreno, and #4 ranked Kai Kara-France just picked up a stoppage win over Steve Ursay. However, Kara-France also has losses to both Albazi and Moreno. Could Pantoja make the move to bantamweight? He has a well-known rivalry with Sean O'Malley after their heated sparring session some time ago, but it's highly unlikely the UFC would bump Pantoja up for a non-title fight. So, who do you want to see take on the flyweight king? Armen Tsarukyan has a secret move ready for Islam Makhachev. The long-awaited rematch between these two is finally set, and Tsarukyan is promising a nasty surprise for the champ. After months of speculation about when we'd see them square off again, it's now confirmed that the fight will go down at UFC 311 on January 18th. Ever since Tsarukyan lost a decision to Makhachev back in 2019, he's been charging back to earn a shot at the lightweight title. Following the UFC 311 announcement, a trailer for a documentary about Tsarukyan's title pursuit was released, where the Armenian fighter teased that he's got a trick up his sleeve that will be a game changer in their rematch. At a recent press conference promoting UFC 311, Armen was asked to spill the beans on what he's planning for the rematch. Not surprisingly, the skilled lightweight kept his cards close to his chest.
How can I tell you my secret technique? So it's gonna be surprise in January 18th. I wanna get bonus. That's why I'm doing that secret technique.
So, what do you think this surprise technique could be? Or do you think Armen is just trying to get into Islam's head? And do you think it'll work? Armen and Islam have exchanged plenty of verbal jabs since their first fight, but it's clear there's mutual respect between the two. After all, we're talking about two of the most well-rounded lightweights in the world. Case in point, when Makhachev was asked about Tsarukyan and facing him again, the champion didn't hold back. He acknowledged just how dangerous the contender truly is.
If you watch the rankings, Armen is a #1 contender, and all my life I told people I want to fight with the real contender who deserve high-level fighters. That's why he deserves, we will fight. Yeah, if you watch his skills, he have good skills, wrestling, and who have the wrestling skills, they control, they control lightweight many years ago, beginning from the Khabib. Now it's myself, and Armen have good skills. That's why he's a #1 right now.
It'll be interesting to see if the verbal warfare heats up as UFC 311 gets closer, especially during fight week. But as things stand now, it would be a bit surprising if tensions really escalate. Islam even mentioned Khabib while reflecting on his friend's legendary reign over the division. Some speculated that the retired champ was actually at the press conference, disguised with a mask and sunglasses. Take a look at this photo. Whether it was Khabib or not, the expectation is that he'll be in Islam's corner at UFC 311. So, who are you picking in the rematch? Will we hear and still on January 18th, or will we crown a new lightweight champion of the world? Let's take a look at what's next for Ciryl Gane at UFC 310. Gane secured his second straight win since that quick, disappointing loss to Jon Jones, but with many people thinking Alexandre Volkov might have actually won, it'll be interesting to see what's in store for the French heavyweight. Given the striking skills of both fighters, not many expected the battle to turn into a grappling affair, but that's exactly what unfolded. While Gane had his moments, Volkov had more, including a perfectly timed spinning back fist that rocked a former interim champion. After 3 rounds, it looked like Volkov was about to get revenge for his 2021 decision loss to Gane. But in a twist, 2 of the judges gave the win to Gane, who was already on his way out of the cage when the decision was announced. After the fight, Gane told Joe Rogan that he broke a couple of toes early on, and even though those injuries likely affected his performance, it would still be surprising if the UFC chose Gane to face the winner of Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, assuming that fight actually happens. The UFC will probably want Gane to take another fight in the interim and generate some buzz with a big win. Could a showdown with #5 ranked Curtis Blaydes be in the cards? Gane has already beaten #4 ranked Sergey Pavlovich. Or perhaps the UFC might have him face the winner of the upcoming Jalal Almana versus Sergey Spivak bout at UFC 311. What do you think? Who would you like to see Gane fight next? What's next for Aljamain Sterling after UFC 310. Although Sterling couldn't hand Movsar Evloev his first loss at UFC 310, the former bantamweight champion has no reason to be discouraged. Sterling, who came into the fight as a significant underdog, pressured Evloev early with his wrestling and grappling. For a brief moment in the first round, it even looked like Sterling might secure a submission win after taking Evloev's back. The massive featherweight managed to scramble out of the dangerous position, though, and did so multiple times as the fight went on. Evloev dominated in key positions, keeping Sterling on the defensive. After 3 rounds, Evloev was awarded the unanimous decision victory. So, what's next for Aljamain? That's a good question. This was Sterling's second fight at featherweight since he lost the bantamweight title to Sean O'Malley in August 2023. After moving up, Sterling earned a decision win over Calvin Kattar in April. Considering how well Aljamain held his own against the rising Evloev, it's likely he'll be lined up with another top contender next. Heading into UFC 311, Evloev was ranked number 5 in the featherweight division and is now 10-0 in the UFC, so he's definitely in the title picture. Could we see Sterling face someone like Arnold Allen, who also lost to Evloev and is ranked number 7? Brian Ortega, ranked number 6, is expected to move to 155, so that fight seems unlikely. What about Yair Rodriguez, who hasn't fought since being submitted by Ortega? The Mexican fighter is ranked number 4. Or could it be Josh Emmett, ranked number 8, who hasn't fought since his brutal win over Shane Burgos last December? Emmett's heavy hands could make for an intriguing matchup with Sterling. Aljamain Sterling took to social media to react to his fight, writing, "Tough fight. I thought I might have edged it out against a tough opponent, but we came up short. Thank you all for the love and support, and I hope the performance was a fun one for you all to watch. Movsar is a beast. I showed where I belong in this division. For now, we decompress and heal up, then get ready to climb the ladder again. The dream doesn't stop unless you give up. I'll be back." He also posted this video along with the tweet.
Tough one, heartbreaker for sure, but just want to let everybody know I'm alright. Really good fight. I hope that performance did not disappoint you guys. I hope you guys had a fun time watching that. Movsar's a beast. Hats off, no excuses. That's exactly what I wanted. I want to give the best of me, have the best of him, and really see where we're at. See if I can make this quest to fight for gold again at a new weight class. Just constantly chasing new goals, new dreams. So thank you guys for supporting me. If you guys want to come out tonight, we'll be at Excess hanging out with my friends and my family. We'll be there. Show some love if you want to. If not, stay safe. Again, sorry for letting you guys down. And hope you guys enjoyed the performance. Thank you for all the love and support. And we'll be back, baby. We'll be back.
A fan responded by saying, "Gave him his toughest fight for sure. Amazing performance. I thought you had it. That third round was all you, but you bounced back. Very excited for your next fight." To which Aljamain replied, "Appreciate all you guys, man. I really do. I need to go watch that third round. That was the deciding round, and I thought I did slightly more early in the round, but I have to see the last 1.5 minutes to really know if it was the right call or not. Nonetheless, it was a good scrap." The MMA community erupted after Shavkat Rakhmonov was accused of cheating against Ian Garry by grabbing the fence and reaching into his cup. Fans speculated that this could explain why Ian's shorts ripped in the back and had to be replaced. In several screenshots, Shavkat appears to be clearly grabbing Ian under his shorts by his cup, which violates MMA rules that prohibit touching external gear like gloves, shorts, or cups. What's your take on this situation? Here's what the MMA community had to say. Well, if Shavkat wasn't literally cheating, maybe something could have happened there. Every time Shavkat grabs cups or balls, I'm waiting for him to ask Garry to cough. Shavkat just blatantly cheated by grabbing Ian's balls multiple times against the cage. There's a rule for no grabbing external gear for a reason, or else everyone would grab the gloves, cups, shorts, etc. This is probably why Ian's shorts ripped. Why was Shavkat grabbing his balls? Shavkat non-stop grabbing Ian's crotch. What a weirdo. Shavkat out here ripping shorts and grabbing junk like he trained with Diddy. Shavkat has no chin. I didn't think he'd get subbed there, but bro, he clearly kept grabbing the gloves. If someone can go back and watch how many times Shavkat was grabbing the fence in the first 2-3 minutes of the first round, trying to get better positioning against the cage. Shavkat is such a cheater. First, Ian Garry complains to the ref about him grabbing his gloves, and then he starts grabbing his cup. How did this cheater win? I feel bad for Ian. Sadiq YF said, "Did anyone else see him grabbing balls on the fence?" Fans replied by saying, "Multiple times too. The second time he was legit trying to crush his balls, it seemed like."